cherry season in the Northeast, and I couldn't think of a better dessert to make than cherry Frangipane Tart. Now, I love Frangipane because it is filled with like almonds and almond extract, and I think that anytime you put almond extract in a dessert, I am going to love. And I have this amazing crust that is completely gluten-free and is also vegan as well, and contains a bunch of really good stuff in it. So let's get started. So this is going to be my flax crumble, and I put this guy on anything actually. There's some almond flour, coconuts, flaxseed. Recipe is going to be down below, some oats, and then usually I will sweeten this with a little bit of brown rice syrup, but for this time I actually found this cassava fructose-free syrup at the store, and I decided to give it a try. It's kind of like a little bit like rice syrup as well. It's not too sweet or too overpowering. So next I'm going to put in a 1/4 cup of melted earth balance, and then I'm just going to use a fork and then make sure that everything is moist and soaked. Now if it happens to be like a little bit too dry, you can feel free to put just a little bit more earth balance in it. So after everything is nice and kind of wet, you want to put it into, I found this really pretty tray. It's like a 14-inch by 4-inch rectangular tray, and you'll definitely see it at any of the baking stores that you get, and you just basically press it in like that. So I'm going to put it into a 375-degree oven for just about 10 minutes. I just want to dry it up a little bit, give it a little bit of structure before I put in the filling. So here's the filling. I have 1/2 cup of ground almond flour, and then to that about 3 tablespoons of sugar. So there's actually not too much sugar in it, and you can feel free to substitute for something else. 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch just to help bind everything, and then you want to put in a 1/4 cup of fairly softened earth balance because this is going to become a nice cream filling later. And then in go 1 vegan egg. We've kind of, if you haven't seen my video, I'm going to link it down below, but this is 1 vegan egg, so 2 tablespoons mixed with 1/2 cup of water, so that's nice and thick. And then finally 1 teaspoon of almond extract, although you can add more if you like. I really like this flavor. So you can see that I'm just using a spatula. I'm just mixing that around until it's combined, and this is how the filling looks. It's kind of like nice and custardy and soft, and then I added a dash of salt at the end because I always feel that salt really brings out the natural sweetness. So you only need 14 pitted cherries for this, and if you can see, I actually pitted it kind of from the side so that I could keep the stems intact. I think it's going to be more pretty that way, but sometimes, it could be more annoying to eat, so it's really up to you. And this is my crust. It's kind of cooled for about just a couple of minutes, but it's still fairly warm, and I'm just going to put in my filling and then use an offset spatula and just make sure that everything is nice and smooth and even, and then you can really arrange the cherries however way you want. One thing I was going to mention about pitting the cherries is if you didn't have a cherry pitter, you could actually just take like a wine bottle and then put the cherry right at the mouth and then use a chopstick and then poke through where the seeds are, because who really has a cherry pitter when cherry season is really just so short. So I just topped a tart with a 1/4 cup of pistachios. You can also use sliced up almonds if you want to, and then this goes into the oven 375 for just around 35 minutes, up until the top is just slightly golden brown, and you can see that it's really lost its like initial kind of sheen. So it's basically all done, and you guys can just take it out and then definitely let it rest before you cut into it. One thing I didn't mention was I did put a piece of tin foil around just in case if anything leaked as well. You're gonna have a cleaner oven afterwards. So this is after about, I would say, an hour, because it took a while to cool, and I'm just gently, ever so gently, just pushing this up. I ended up losing an edge, as you can see right here, but that's totally fine. That whole thing kind of comes out, and then you can kind of mush everything together, and then nobody will ever know. So the pretty thing about this is that you can just really cut down the rectangle, and then everybody has a really small piece. And you can see, even though some of the edges kind of crumbled, it makes for a really like pretty rustic feel to this tart. And I love this dessert. Like if you like cherries or even any other kind of stone fruits, they go so well with almond. And I love the Frangipane filling because it's like a thick custard and it's smooth, but it also has some texture from the almond flour as well. And it has to be one of my favorite desserts. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this recipe, and maybe you're gonna have time to go to the supermarket and get some cherries to make this too. As usual, if you want to see more recipes like this, remember to hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye!